All right, on to Friday, week 4 college football breakdown here. A little ACC matchup. We've got Virginia traveling to the Carrier Dome, taking on undefeated Syracuse. This line has moved in Syracuse's direction, opened up at 8.5 at home. Syracuse now 10.5-point favorites in the spot. Total has stayed pretty steady at 52.5. I do agree with that line movement. The reality of it is Syracuse is better offensively than Virginia, and I do think they're better defensively as well. This Syracuse offense has really surprised me this year. I know it surprised really the whole betting market. We knew they could run the football coming into the year. Sean Tucker is one of the best returning running backs in the ACC, almost 1,500 yards last year as a freshman. And listen, we even knew Garrett Schrader could run as well. But we've seen Garrett Schrader and his progression as a passer. I mean, last year he was a 53% completion. This year, 66% through the air, 9.2 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. And it's not like they played a bunch of nobodies either. I mean, they beat Louisville at home. They beat Purdue last week in a game that a lot of people thought that line was just crazy. Well, no, Syracuse's offense has made real strides from last season. I really hate this Virginia team. I played them under the 7.5 wins. They've surprised me with their pass rush a little bit, but teams have been able to establish a run game on them. So facing a pretty good run game here, not only having to worry about Sean Tucker, but having to worry about the quarterback run. Do you think Syracuse is able to establish a run game? And then I think this is Virginia's first real test, and they're going to have much tougher tests as far as facing better quarterbacks throughout the season. But with the way Garrett Schrader has played, I have no reason to believe that he won't be able to hit some deep shots in this one as well. Because when you are able to establish a run the way Syracuse, I expect them to in this matchup, it does create those explosive plays through the air. We've seen them capitalize on that this year. I see no reason why they won't in this matchup. Virginia's offense has clearly regressed. I mean, Brennan Armstrong, there's a lot of hype around him coming into this year, and I get it. He had good numbers last year. He was almost at 9 yards per attempt, kind of a gunslinger, lefty type of guy. He's mobile when he needs to be. The reality of it is, though, the first-year head coach Tony Elliott, they're trying to get more balance offensively. Issue being, they can't run the football. Extremely mediocre in that department. I know they got some playmakers on the outside, but Syracuse just beat a team like this last week. I think that win shows that it's going to be really hard to be as predictable as teams like Virginia and Purdue are, and go on the road and be competitive. And listen, I think Purdue's passing offense right now is much better than Virginia's. They put up 16 points on Old Dominion last week. They failed to get into the end zone against Illinois. Syracuse is one of these defenses that is kind of a bend, don't break. Wouldn't be surprised if they concede some easy completions underneath for Brennan Armstrong. But the reality of it is I don't see Virginia as much of a threat to run the ball. Their red zone offense was atrocious last week. 2 turnovers in the red zone, a missed field goal in the red zone. This is just not a good Virginia team. Then they have clearly regressed offensively. Probably the most important comment about this Virginia offense too, their offensive line is terrible. You saw them allow 5 sacks in that game against Illinois. Big reason why they didn't get into the end zone. This isn't a matchup that you would think that Syracuse gets a ton of pressure. But that being said, I cannot trust this Virginia offensive line. So suffice to say, I do agree with this line movement. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm ready to lay double digits with a team like Syracuse yet, because it is still a pretty small sample with their passing game. But I see no reason why they won't be able to establish the run, which is going to open up those deep shots. And with Virginia's lack of balance offensively, I just don't think they're going to be able to establish a run. I do lean pretty heavily towards Syracuse, minus the 10.5 at this juncture. Also lean to the under, because I think Virginia's offense is still grossly overrated. They're not running as fast this year. If Syracuse is able to jump out to any sort of lead, they're going to pound the run game, and they're not particularly a fast-paced team either. So I do lean to the under 52.5 as well. I'm not certain if either one of these is going to be official play, but I do lean with the orange minus the 10.5 and the under 52.5. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and comment your game prediction and how you see this game unfolding down below. I'll have the rest of my Week 4 video breakdowns out by Thursday night, so be sure to continually check back in with the channel and make sure you're subscribed. Appreciate y'all watching. College football is back, and it's better than ever.